This is the inside of the 2021 Elddis Majestic 285. If I firstly move to the main control panel, I can turn the 12 volt on just here by pressing the master button. Beneath that we then have the master button for all of the onboard lights. These can then all be individually turned on and off on their own switches. Water pump on and off just here. We need the water pump on so we can get water out of the taps, flush the toilet and fill the boiler if it's been drained down. And then we have awning light on and off just here. All other information is then given via scrolling. So we have water level just here for the fresh tank. We then have the waste level for the grey water tank. User settings just here, and within this, if I now press enter, we have contrast of the screen, button beeps on and off, how quickly before the control panel goes into standby. You can have water level alarms on and off. You can have an alarm to let you know if you lose main supply, and an alarm to let you know if either of the batteries are low. Next we have battery selection. We can only select the leisure battery on this model. You cannot select the vehicle battery. Condition of the leisure battery. And then back to the beginning again. As you can see, it just goes round in a big giant circle. To alter the time, all you need to do is just hold down the enter button, and then the time will begin to flash, and then just use your arrows to alter it. Unfortunately, my camera does not pick up this screen particularly well. If we now move above, we have the control panel for the Aldi heating and hot water. If I now press the on button, on initial startup, it will let you know if you have main supply connected, and it will give you an internal temperature of the motorhome. If I now press menu, it will then bring up its basic functions. So at the top here, we have the thermostat for the heating. So literally just plus and minus, pick whatever temperature you would like it to be in the motorhome, and it will drop all the way down to 5 degrees and go all the way up to 30 degrees. After that, we then have a little picture of a shower head, and this one here is for your hot water. So currently hot water is off. If I now press the plus button, hot water on, and if I press it again, we then have hot water in boost mode. Boost mode is very handy if there's going to be more than one of you having showers in quick succession of each other, or if you just want hot water more quickly. If you do perform this boost and the heating is running, the heating will turn off because it needs to use that extra power. So even now I've turned the hot water on, it's not actually heating up yet because we haven't given it a power source. So we have a lightning strike just here for main supply, and then we have a flame for gas. So as long as you're hooked up to mains, press the plus button and we can run on 1 kilowatt, 2 kilowatts or 3 kilowatts. So just dependent on the amperage of the site you're on to try and avoid tripping. And if we have no main supply, we can run on gas. If you have both power sources available to you, you can run in dual fuel as well. Dual fuel is very handy, especially in the winter months if you want to get up to temperature nice and quickly, and it will only consume the gas as it's required. Next, if I press the little picture of the cog, we have the settings menu. So we have a night mode and a day mode just here. So if I go into night mode, we can turn it on and off up here. We can set the temperature we would like it to be for that night mode time. We can then set when we would like night mode to begin, and whether it's for all days of the week or just individual. And then we can set when night mode ends. Within this as well, we can highlight this one here and invert this backlight so it goes to a black screen and white writing. And I can also have it so the boiler does not make any hot water for that period. Very handy, especially if you're wild camping. That way you're not wasting gas heating up hot water whilst you're asleep. Next we have exactly the same again, but literally for the daytime. Prioritize is what the system prioritizes in using when in that dual fuel mode. So at the moment you'll see there's a little lightning strike for main supply, so this means that it prioritizes main supply over gas. If you were on a very low amp site, you can flip it on its head so it's actually consuming more gas and less electricity. Next we just have brightness of the screen, etc. This one is not used on this particular model. And then if we are going to be using the night mode and day mode, etc., we need to make sure that we've set the time, and we just set the time and the day of the week just here. For now, arrow down again. Majority of these can only be accessed by the workshop. Next we have antimicrobial. You can only use this if you are using night mode as well. And what will then happen is in the middle of the night the boiler will come on and rapidly heat itself up and kill off any bacteria that may be in the system. Temperature offset for the onboard thermostat. If you don't think it's quite correct, you can just slightly alter it here. High altitude mode, so if you are using the motorhome 1,000 meters and above sea level, you can pop this on and it will make the system run more effectively at altitude. Key beep on and off. One delayed start and stop to the system. Pump settings for the heating system, just literally leave it on thermal. It does not need to be on anything else. And then if I arrow down, we have factory reset, so if there's a problem with the control panel you can reset it. External start, you do have to have additional SIM boxes added to the system if you want to control it via an app. Language, service, again more for the workshop, but you can see what everything is up to. Installed accessories, this one here is handy, which is the load monitor. If I now arrow back up, you'll see we can actually activate it here. If you arrive on site and you know how many amps the site is, you can pop it into here. And then it doesn't matter if you select 3 kilowatts on here, because it will just limit itself to avoid tripping. Because I've now activated it, it will appear here as an A, as an activated function. And I can alter it or alternatively turn it back off again. We have storage underneath both of the seats just here, and we also have the travel seats. Domestic fridge just here, on and off on this button. Normal three-way fridge, so we can run it on main supply if we're connected to the mains. If we're not connected to the mains, we can run the fridge on gas. And then lastly we have 12 volt maintain, which will keep the fridge cold whilst the vehicle is in motion. The engine does need to be running for this to work, so if I press this at the moment, it's going to beep at us and we're going to get a red flashing triangle just here because we do not have the engine running. This is the noise it will also make if it fails to light on gas. If you think it may just be down to a bit of air in the system, etc., you can just press this and then it will then try again. It does highlight it in the manual. And obviously if we didn't have any main supply connected, again it would beep to let us know. Temperature control just here. And then just push down to open the door. Freezer box at the top. This can be removed if required. There is just a clip here and another one here. Light switches just here. This switch here is not a light switch. What it will do is it will turn on the circulation fan just here. So if you've got your heating on, you can then put that circulation fan on and it will draw some of the heat away from the radiators and then push it into the cab area. Microwave just here, so this will work when connected to mains electricity. Do make sure that all of the contents are removed for travel. We have quick start just here and stop. Then we have all the normal bits that you would find on most modern microwaves now, power settings, wait time, defrost, etc. just there. Storage, plate rack, cup holders just there. Storage above, and you can also see where the microwave is plugged in. Hob just here, so we have the electric hot plate, which again, like the microwave, will work when you're hooked up to mains electricity, and it operates just here. We then have the 3 gas rings, and to light these, just push in, twist and push the igniter. Beneath that we have the grill, and again just push in and then push the igniter. And then the oven. Storage beneath the oven. We also have the gas isolation taps just there for both the cooker and the fridge. They are both in the on position, and I always say this about all gas isolation taps, they are more for maintenance than anything else. If you did smell gas in the van, I always say go to the source and turn the gas bottle off. Also in here, plug plugged in, which is just for the electric hot plate. Above my head we have the Omnivent fan. To operate this, firstly wind the roof vent open, and then middle button to turn the unit on, and then we have arrows out for extraction and arrows in for cooling, and it's variable fan speed just by pressing. Do make sure that all roof vents are down for travel. freestanding table just here. Two main sockets, two USB charge points, a 12-volt socket, and then aerial fly lead in just here, and satellite as well. In the overhead locker just here we have the solar panel regulator. We do not need to do anything with this, it will just smart charge the leisure battery as it's required. And then beneath that we then have the digital amplifier for the television aerial. On and off just here, and then control the boost just here. And then we actually have the television aerial itself. To use this, just undo the collar and then just push the TV aerial up and then twist it into the position that you require and then lock it into place. Try to not over tighten these collars because you do run the risk of splitting them. The aerial is currently sitting in the horizontal position. We can flip it to the vertical for additional tuning if required, just by turning the tail just here. Do make sure that the aerial is down for travel. Consumer unit just here. So we have along the top here the main strip switches. So we have the individual MCBs, the main RCD and test button just here. So if anything's not working on mains electricity, just check to see if you've tripped. And then beneath that we have the 12-volt fuses, and again they're all labelled up. So if anything is not working on 12-volt, just check to see whether or not a fuse is blown. Down here we have the tank heaters isolation switch. So both the fresh and the waste tank have heaters. If I now flick it into the on position just here, this now puts the tank heaters in a dormant state as it were at the moment because the temperature outside is too warm. But now, as long as there's water in the tanks and the temperature drops below about 3-4 degrees, the tank heaters will come on to avoid any frost damage occurring to the tanks. Underneath the bed we have the water pump just here. The white part of it just here is what is known as the surge dampener. It just stops the pump shudder. We then also have the Aldi boiler just here. To drain the water out of the boiler for frost protection, all we need to do is just come to this yellow lever just down here and flip it up, and it will then begin to drain all the water out. Before you do this though, firstly come to the control panel and make sure that the water pump is turned off. Then flip the lever up and it will then begin to drop all the water out of the boiler. I always suggest that when you are fully winterizing the motorhome that you also open up all of the taps as well, because this will help release any airlocks in the system and will make it drain down more efficiently. When it comes to refilling the boiler, make sure the taps are down, make sure that the yellow lever is flapped across, fill up the fresh water tank, turn on the control panel, and then the water pump. Let the pump run for a few minutes and then begin opening up the taps. They'll cough and splutter a bit as they force the air out. Once they're running both freely on hot and cold, close, and then the system will fully reprime itself. We can also see here the top of the consumer unit. Do make sure that you do not obstruct this part, because the battery charger is located here as well, so we do not want it to overheat. Storage underneath this side, and then we also have here the location of the leisure battery. A second leisure battery can be fitted to this particular model, and if I just pop up the carpet, we can then see where it can be installed just here. As we now come into the washroom, we have the shower cubicle just here. Do make sure that the shower screen is secure for travel. We then have the basin and then the cassette toilet. To open to the cassette, just slide the grey lever across, push to flush just here, and then close back up again. If this has been left open and you try to remove the cassette from the outside, it will not come out. So if you do feel resistance, just make sure that nobody's left this open. Level indicator just here, so it will illuminate to let you know when the cassette needs emptying. And then if we come into the wardrobe, we have the header tank for the Aldi heating system. So we just need to make sure that the fluid level is between the minimum and the maximum. You can top this up yourself if required, but I always say take your reading once the heating is up to temperature, as it will expand in the tank. As you can see, the fluid that has been added to this system does not need to be changed until this date just here, as it's the long life. So if you do need to top it up, do make sure that you are using the pink long life Aldi top up solution. And you'll see just down there you've got the screw cap to top it up if required. Also in here we just have the two covers for those fold up travel seats. And then we also have the infill for the front bed. So with this front bed, it's extremely easy to make up. Just slightly lift up and then pull both parts out. So they then just meet in the middle, and then it's just a matter of dropping your cushions in. So as you can see, I've dropped the cushions into place, and we just have a small gap just here, and this infill here just folds out to fill the gap.